Captain Jake Miller walked through the dirty streets of Kepler 7 mining station. The air smelled bad and the lights were dim. His cargo ship needed supplies before the next long trip through space. Jake had been a soldier before he became a ship captain. He knew how to spot trouble. The mining station was full of rough people, miners, traders, and criminals all mixed together in the crowded walkways. Jake kept his hand near his gun as he moved through the market. He had seen many bad places in the galaxy, but this one felt worse than most. Dr. Maya Stone walked beside him. She was the ship's doctor and one of his best friends. Maya was small but tough. She had blonde hair and smart blue eyes that missed nothing. "This place gives me the creeps," Maya said quietly. "Let's get what we need and leave." Jake nodded. They needed food, water filters, and engine parts. The sooner they finished, the better. He did not like leaving his ship for too long in a place like this. As they walked past a dark alley, Jake heard something that made him stop. It was a small voice crying. The sound was weak and scared. Maya heard it too and grabbed his arm. "Jake, someone needs help," she whispered. They moved carefully into the alley. The smell got worse. Old garbage and something else Jake could not name. At the end of the alley, they found a group of alien traders standing around metal cages. Inside the cages were people. Different kinds of people from across the galaxy. Jake's blood went cold. This was a slave market. He had heard about them but never seen one. The traders were selling living beings like they were animals. "We should go," Maya said, her voice shaking. "We can't help them all." But Jake could not move. In the smallest cage, he saw a young girl. She looked maybe 12 years old. Her clothes were torn and dirty. She had long black hair and pale skin. But what made Jake stare were her eyes. They were yellow like a wolf's eyes, and they were full of fear and pain. The girl was not human. Jake could see that now. Her ears were pointed and her teeth were too sharp. When she moved, it was with the grace of a wild animal. She was something he had only heard about in stories. A werewolf. "Look at this one," one of the traders said in broken galactic standard. "Very rare. Werewolf female. Young and strong. Perfect for experiments." Another trader laughed. "The labs on Titan 9 will pay good money for her. They love testing on the rare ones." Jake felt sick. These people were talking about the girl like she was a thing to be bought and sold. The way they said experiments made it clear what would happen to her. She would be hurt and tortured until she died. The girl looked up and saw Jake watching. For a moment, their eyes met. Jake saw something in those yellow eyes that hit him like a punch to the chest. Hope. Despite everything that had happened to her, she still hoped someone would help. That was when Jake made his choice. "Maya, go back to the ship," he said quietly. "Get the emergency medical kit ready." "What are you going to do?" Maya asked, but she already knew. "Something stupid," Jake said with a sad smile. Maya knew that look. Jake had been a good soldier, because he could not walk away when innocent people were in danger. It had gotten him in trouble with his commanders many times, but it was also why she trusted him with her life. "I'll have everything ready," Maya said and ran back toward the ship. Jake walked up to the traders. They were big, ugly aliens with thick skin and mean eyes, the kind of people who would sell their own mothers for the right price. "How much for the werewolf girl?" Jake asked, trying to sound casual. The lead trader looked at him with surprise. "You want to buy her? She is very expensive. 10,000 credits." Jake almost choked. That was more money than his ship made in 6 months. But he had some savings, money he had been keeping for emergencies. This felt like an emergency. "I'll give you 5,000, Jake said. "No deal. She is rare, worth much more to the labs." Jake thought fast. He could not afford 10,000 credits, but he could not walk away either. The girl was still watching him with those hopeful yellow eyes. 8,000, Jake said. "That's all I have." The trader talked with his friends in their own language. They argued for several minutes. Finally, the leader turned back to Jake. 8,000. "But you pay now and take her now. No returns." Jake transferred the money from his personal account. It hurt to see all his savings disappear, but when he saw the relief in the girl's eyes, he knew it was worth it. The traders opened the cage and pulled the girl out. She was even smaller than Jake had thought. She was scared and weak from hunger. When they pushed her toward Jake, she almost fell down. Jake caught her gently. She looked up at him with those strange yellow eyes. For a moment, she seemed ready to run, but something in Jake's face must have told her he was safe. She did not pull away. "It's okay," Jake said softly. "You're safe now. No one will hurt you anymore." The girl did not understand his words, but she seemed to understand his tone. She leaned against him, too tired and weak to stand on her own. Jake picked her up carefully. She was so light it scared him. How long had they kept her in? That cage without proper food? As they walked back to his ship, Jake wondered what he had gotten himself into. He knew nothing about werewolves. He did not even know if the girl could speak Galactic Standard. All he knew was that she needed help, and he could not walk away. Maya was waiting at the ship with the medical kit. When she saw the girl in Jake's arms, her doctor instincts took over. "Bring her to the medical bay," Maya said. "She looks half dead." As Jake carried the girl onto his ship, he felt like his life had just changed forever. He did not know how right he was. 3 months had passed since Jake brought Luna aboard his ship. That was the name Maya had given her after the girl could not tell them her real name. Luna meant moon, and it seemed to fit the werewolf girl perfectly. Luna had changed a lot in those 3 months. She was no longer the scared, hungry child Jake had found in that cage. Maya's care and good food had helped her grow stronger. Her yellow eyes were brighter now, and she had learned to speak basic Galactic Standard. But the biggest change was how Luna looked at Jake. She followed him everywhere on the ship. When he worked, she watched and learned. When he slept, she curled up outside his door like a guard dog. Maya said it was normal werewolf behavior. Luna had chosen Jake as her pack leader. Jake did not mind. In fact, he was starting to love having Luna around. She was smart and quick to learn. She had learned to help with simple ship repairs and could spot problems that even experienced crew members missed. Her hearing and smell were much better than any humans. "She's like having the best security system in the galaxy," Maya often joked. Luna's werewolf abilities were amazing to watch. She could change from human form to wolf form in seconds. As a wolf, she was beautiful. Her fur was black like her hair, and her yellow eyes glowed in the dark. She was fast and strong, but she was always gentle with the crew. The hardest part had been teaching Luna to control her changes. At first, she would turn into a wolf whenever she was scared or angry. But Jake was patient with her. He never yelled or got mad when she had accidents. Slowly, Luna learned to stay in human form most of the time. One morning, Jake was drinking coffee in the ship's small kitchen when Luna came in. She moved quietly, the way she always did. Sometimes Jake forgot she was there until she spoke. "Jake," Luna said in her soft voice. "Ship coming." Jake looked up from his coffee. Luna's senses were never wrong. If she said a ship was coming, then a ship was coming. He went to the bridge and checked the scanners. Sure enough, a small diplomatic vessel was approaching. The communication system buzzed. A woman's voice came through the speakers. Her accent was musical and strange. "This is Diplomat Aria Moonwhisper of the Galactic Council. I request permission to board your vessel for official business." Jake knew that name. Aria Moonwhisper was famous throughout the galaxy. She was an elf who worked for the Council, investigating crimes and keeping peace between different species. She was also said to be one of the most beautiful women in known. "Space! Permission granted," Jake said. "Docking bay, too." Luna stood close to Jake's chair. Her nose wrinkled like she smelled something she did not like. "Elf," Luna said simply. "Danger." "Why danger?" Jake asked. Luna shrugged. She could not always explain her feelings, but her instincts were usually right. 20 minutes later, Aria, Moonwhisper, walked onto Jake's ship. Jake had to admit the stories were true. She was beautiful. Aria was tall and graceful, with long silver hair and green eyes that seemed to see everything. Her pointed ears and pale skin marked her as one of the elder races. Elves lived for thousands of years and thought they were better than younger species like humans. But there was something else about Aria that made Jake nervous. She moved like a predator, despite her diplomatic smile, and the way she looked around. His ship made him feel like she was judging everything she saw. "Captain Miller," Aria said with a slight bow. Thank you for allowing me aboard. What can I do for you? Jake asked, trying to sound friendly. I am investigating illegal trafficking operations in this sector. Your ship was seen leaving Kepler-7 3 months ago. I need to ask you some questions. Jake felt his heart speed up, but he kept his face calm. Luna moved to stand behind his right shoulder. It was a protective position that did not look threatening. I stop at lots of places for supplies, Jake said. Kepler-7 was just business. Arya's green eyes studied Jake's face. Then she looked at Luna. Jake saw the elf's eyes widen slightly when she noticed Luna's yellow eyes and pointed ears. And, "Who is this?" Arya asked. "Luna," Jake said simply. "She's part of my crew." Arya stared at Luna for a long moment. Luna stared back without fear. Jake could feel the tension in the air like electricity before a storm. "She's very young to be crew," Arya said carefully. "Age doesn't matter if someone can do the job," Jake replied. What Jake did not know was that Arya had telepathic abilities, like most elves. She could sense emotions and sometimes read surface thoughts. When she looked at Jake, she did not sense the greed or cruelty she expected from a trafficker. Instead, she felt something that surprised her. Love. Jake loved this strange girl, like she was his own daughter. When Arya looked at Luna, she sensed something even more interesting. The werewolf girl was not afraid or angry. She was protective. Luna would fight to defend Jake if she had to. This was not what Arya had expected to find. She had come here thinking Jake was part of the trafficking ring. But the emotions she sensed told a different story. "May I speak with Luna privately?" Arya asked. "No," Jake said quickly. Then he softened his tone. "She doesn't like talking to strangers, and I don't leave my crew alone with people I just met." Arya nodded slowly. She was starting to understand the relationship between these two. "Perhaps you could tell me about your time on Kepler-7? Jake thought carefully about his answer. He could not tell the whole truth without admitting he had bought Luna from slavers. But he could not lie to a council diplomat either. "I bought supplies and left," Jake said. "Nothing special happened." "Were you aware of any illegal activities on the station?" "Kepler-7 is a rough place," Jake said. "I try to mind my own business and get out fast." Arya asked more questions, but Jake's answers were careful and gave away nothing important. Finally, the elf diplomat stood to leave. "Thank you for your time, Captain Miller," she said formally, as Arya walked toward the docking. "Bay," Luna suddenly spoke up. "She smells like sadness," Luna said quietly. Arya stopped walking. She turned around slowly to look at Luna. "What did you say?" Arya asked. "You smell sad," Luna repeated, "and lonely, like you lost something important." For a moment, Arya's diplomatic mask slipped. Jake saw pain flash across her beautiful face. Then she controlled herself again. "Werewolves have very good noses," Arya said with a forced smile. "Luna has good instincts about people, too," Jake said, watching Arya carefully. After Arya left, Jake found himself thinking about her. There had been something in her eyes when Luna mentioned sadness, something real behind all that diplomatic politeness. Luna curled up in her favorite spot near Jake's feet while he worked on ship reports. "She will come back," Luna said suddenly. "Why do you think that?" Jake asked. "She wants to understand us. Elves do not understand human families." Jake smiled. Luna was getting better at reading people every day. She was probably right. Arya Moonwhisper would be back. What Jake did not know was that Arya was already sending messages to her contacts. She was not reporting Jake as a suspect anymore. Instead, she was asking for permission to stay in this sector longer. She told her superiors she needed more time to investigate, but the real reason was that she was curious about the human captain and his werewolf daughter. In all her long life, Arya had never seen a bond like theirs. It made her think about things she had tried to forget. 2 days later, Arya's ship returned. This time, she had a different request. "Captain Miller, I would like to book passage on your ship. I need to investigate several systems in this region, and civilian transport would be less obvious than a council vessel." Jake looked at Luna, who nodded slightly. Her instincts said it was safe. "We can take you," Jake said, "but I charge fair rates." "Of course," Arya agreed. As Arya brought her small bag aboard, Jake wondered what he was getting himself into. Having a council diplomat on his ship would complicate everything. But something about Arya made him want to help her. Maybe it was the sadness Luna had sensed, or maybe it was the way Arya had looked at him and Luna together, like she was seeing, something she wanted but could not have. Either way, Jake's simple life was about to get much more complicated. Arya had been living on Jake's ship for 2 weeks now. She was polite and helpful, but she kept to herself most of the time. Jake found himself watching her when he thought she was not looking. There was something about the elf diplomat that drew his attention. Luna seemed to like Arya, which surprised everyone. The werewolf girl was usually suspicious of strangers, but she would sit quietly near Arya when the elf was working on her reports. Sometimes Jake caught them talking in low voices. "What do you and Arya talk about?" Jake asked Luna one day. "Stories," Luna said simply. "She tells me about different worlds and people. I tell her about pack families." Jake smiled. Luna was teaching an ancient elf about werewolf culture. It was funny when he thought about it. Everything changed when Commander Zara Vex called Jake's ship. Zara was a military officer from the Xanthari species. The Xanthari looked almost human, except for their blue skin and white hair. They were known as excellent soldiers and fair people. Zara's face appeared on the communication screen. She looked worried, which was unusual for a Xanthari officer. "Captain Miller, I have bad news. The Void Serpent's crime syndicate has put a bounty on your head, a very large bounty." Jake felt his blood go cold. The Void Serpents were one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in the galaxy. They dealt in slaves, drugs, and weapons. If they wanted him dead, he was in serious trouble. Why would they want me dead? Jake asked, but he already knew the answer. They know you took something that belonged to them, something they want back very badly. Jake looked at Luna, who was standing behind him listening to every word. Her yellow eyes were wide with fear, but not for herself. She was afraid for Jake. "How big is the bounty?" Jake asked. 50,000 credits, Zara said grimly. "That's enough to bring every hunter and assassin in 3 sectors after you." Arya appeared in the doorway. She had heard everything. "Commander Vex, this is Diplomat Moonwhisper. What kind of assassins are we talking about?" Zara's expression got even more serious. "The worst kind. They hired Shadowkin." Jake had heard of the Shadowkin species, but he had never seen one. They were natural killers who could become invisible and move without making any sound. Most people who met a Shadowkin assassin never lived to tell about it. "How long do we have?" Arya asked. "They could already be on their way," Zara said. "The Shadowkin are fast and patient. They will study you before they strike." After Zara signed off, the ship was quiet for a long time. Finally, Luna spoke up. "This is my fault," she said in a small voice. "They want me back. I should leave." "No," Jake said firmly. "You're not going anywhere. We're family now." "But they will kill you because of me," Luna said, tears starting to form in her yellow eyes. Jake knelt down so he was at Luna's eye level. "Listen to me, Luna. A real family protects each other. I will never let anyone take you away. Do you understand?" Luna nodded, but Jake could see she was still scared. Arya watched this exchange with interest. She was beginning to understand why the bond between Jake and Luna was so strong. Over the next few days, everyone on the ship was nervous. They were traveling to Haven Station for supplies, but now every stop felt dangerous. Maya checked and rechecked the medical supplies. The rest of the crew cleaned their weapons and ran extra security checks. Luna seemed to change overnight. She became more alert and focused. Her werewolf instincts were telling her that danger was coming. She started patrolling the ship like a guard, checking every corner and shadow. "She's getting ready to protect her pack," Arya explained to Jake. "Werewolves become very dangerous when their family is threatened." Jake was amazed by how much Luna had grown. She was still young, but she moved with the confidence of a trained soldier. Her human intelligence combined with her wolf instincts made her formidable. When they reached Haven Station, Jake wanted to get their business done quickly and leave, but Luna stopped him at the airlock. "Something wrong," she said, her nose twitching. "Smell danger." "What kind of danger?" Jake asked. Luna closed her eyes and breathed deeply. "Hunter. Predator. Like me, but different. Arya's face went pale. A Shadowkin is already here. Jake made a quick decision. Maya, you and the others stay on the ship. Arya, you're with me. Luna, I come too, Luna said firmly. I can smell the hunter. You cannot. Jake wanted to argue, but he knew Luna was right. Her senses were there. Best defense against an invisible enemy. The three of them left the ship together. Haven Station was busy and crowded, which made Jake nervous. A Shadowkin could be anyone in the crowd, or no one at all. They had only walked a few hundred meters when Luna suddenly stopped. Her head tilted to one side like she was listening to something only she could hear. Close, Luna whispered. Very close. That was when the attack came. Something moved in Jake's peripheral vision, too fast to see clearly. Jake threw himself to one side, just as a blade cut through the air where his head had been. The Shadowkin assassin appeared for just a moment. She looked almost human, but her skin was gray and her eyes were completely black. She wore dark clothes. That seemed to bend light around them, then she disappeared again. Kira, Arya breathed. I know that assassin. She's one of the best. Luna's eyes had turned completely yellow, and Jake could see her fighting the urge to change into wolf form. I can track her, Luna said through gritted teeth. Do it, Jake said. Luna moved through the crowd like a hunting animal. Her head turned, left and right, as she followed a scent only she could detect. Jake and Arya stayed close behind her, weapons ready. The chase led them through the station's maze of corridors and shops. Several times, Jake thought he saw movement in the shadows. But when he looked directly, nothing was there. Luna led them to a maintenance area where there were fewer people. It was darker here with lots of places to hide. Perfect territory for a Shadowkin. She's trying to separate us, Arya warned. Shadowkin prefer to hunt alone. But Luna had other ideas. Instead of following the assassin deeper into the maintenance tunnels, she stopped and did something unexpected. She let out a long, low howl. The sound echoed through the metal corridors. It was not quite human and not quite wolf. It was the sound of a predator claiming territory. What are you doing? Jake asked. Telling her this is my hunt now, Luna said with a fierce smile. For the first time since the attack started, Jake felt hope. Luna was not just defending herself anymore. She was taking control of the situation. From somewhere in the shadows came an answering sound, a hiss of anger and surprise. The Shadowkin had not expected her prey to fight back so boldly. She's confused, Arya said quietly. Shadowkin don't understand pack tactics. Luna started moving again, but this time she was not following a trail. She was setting a trap. She led Jake and Arya to a junction where 4 corridors met. It was a place where the assassin would have to choose which way to approach them. When she comes, she will try to take Jake first, Luna said calmly. Arya, watch the left corridor. Jake, watch the right. I will watch behind us. What about the front? Jake asked. Luna's yellow eyes gleamed. I will hear her before she gets that close. They waited in tense silence for several minutes. Then, Luna's head snapped to the left. At the same moment, Arya fired her weapon down the left corridor. There was a cry of pain and surprise. The Shadowkin assassin appeared again, clutching her shoulder where Arya's shot had hit her. She looked shocked that her stealth had been defeated. Impossible, Kira snarled. No one can track a Shadowkin. She can, Jake said proudly, putting his hand on Luna's shoulder. The assassin looked at Luna with new respect and hatred. What are you? I am his daughter, Luna said simply. And you will not hurt my family. Kira disappeared again, but this time Luna was ready. She had learned the assassin's scent and could track her even when invisible. The chase that followed was like a deadly dance. Kira would appear, attack, and vanish, but Luna always knew where she would appear next. Finally, Luna did something that surprised everyone, including herself. She partially shifted into wolf form while staying mostly human. Her teeth became fangs, her nails became claws, and her reflexes became superhuman. When Kira appeared for her final attack, Luna was waiting. She caught the assassin's arm and held on with strength that no normal human could match. Choose, Luna growled in a voice that was half human, half wolf. "Leave us alone, or I will show you what a real predator can do." Kira looked into Luna's yellow eyes and saw something that made her afraid for the first time in years. She was looking at another apex predator, one who was protecting her pack. The Shadowkin assassin vanished one last time, but this time she did not come back. As they walked back to the ship, Jake realized that something fundamental had changed. Luna was not just his adopted daughter anymore. She was becoming his protector, and judging by the way Arya was looking, at both of them she was starting to care about this strange human family too. After the fight with Kira, Luna became a different person. She was still the same loving girl who followed Jake around the ship. But now she had a confidence that impressed everyone. She had faced one of the galaxy's most dangerous assassins, and won. More importantly, she had learned something valuable. Her werewolf abilities were not just for defense. She could use them to protect the people she loved. Jake watched Luna train in the ship's cargo bay. She moved between human and partial wolf form with perfect control now. Her reflexes were faster than any human's, and her senses could detect threats that normal people would never notice. "She's remarkable," Arya said, joining Jake at the observation window. "She's just a kid," Jake replied, but his voice was full of pride. "No," Arya said seriously. "She's something new. A werewolf raised by humans, trained in both pack tactics and military strategy. I've never seen anything like her." Over the next few weeks, more assassins came after them. The Void Serpents were determined to get Luna back and kill Jake. But each attack failed worse than the last. Luna had started teaching the crew how to spot Shadowkin assassins. She showed them how to watch for the small signs that someone was using stealth technology, a tiny shimmer in the air, the way dust moved when something invisible passed by, sounds that were too quiet or too perfect. "Trust your instincts," Luna told Maya during a training session. "If something feels wrong, it probably is." Maya was getting good at following Luna's advice. She had spotted two assassins trying to sneak onto the ship at their last supply stop, but Luna's greatest success was with the ship's security systems. She had worked with Jake to redesign them based on her enhanced senses. Now the ship had sensors that could detect the electrical fields that Shadowkin stealth suits produced. "It's like having the best security expert in the galaxy," Maya told Jake. "Except our expert is also your teenage daughter." Jake laughed, but he was also worried. Luna was growing up too fast. The constant danger was forcing her to become an adult before her time. His relationship with Arya was growing stronger, too. The elf diplomat had extended her mission indefinitely. She claimed she was still investigating the trafficking ring, but everyone knew the real reason she stayed. Jake had caught her watching him work several times. When their eyes met, she would look away quickly, but not before Jake saw something in her green eyes that made his heart race. "Elves usually don't form attachments to shorter-lived species," Luna told Jake one day. "But Arya is different. She's lonely." "How do you know that?" Jake asked. "I can smell emotions," Luna said matter-of-factly. "Arya smells like someone who has been alone for a very long time." That evening, Jake found Arya sitting alone in the ship's small lounge. She was reading reports, but Jake could tell her mind was somewhere else. "Mind if I join you?" Jake asked. Arya looked up and smiled. "Of course." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Finally, Arya spoke. "You know, in all my years as a diplomat, I've never seen a family like yours." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Most species form families based on blood or biology," Arya explained. "But you chose Luna as your daughter, and she chose you as her father. It's unusual." "Is that bad?" Jake asked. "No," Arya said quickly. "It's beautiful. I just don't understand how you make it work." Jake thought about his answer carefully. "I guess we just decided that love is more important than biology. Luna needed a family, and I needed someone to care about." Arya was quiet for a long moment. "My people live for thousands of years. We don't usually form close bonds with humans because your lives are so short. It hurts too much when you die." "But you're here," Jake pointed out. "Yes," Arya said softly. "I'm here." Their conversation was interrupted by Luna's voice over the ship's communication system. "Jake, Arya, please come to the bridge. Commander Vex is calling." They hurried to the bridge, where Zara Vex's worried face filled the main screen. "I have bad news," Zara said without introduction. The Void Serpents are sending their entire assassination division after you. 20 of the best Shadowkin killers in the galaxy." Jake felt his stomach drop. They had handled single assassins, but 20 at once was impossible. "There's more," Zara continued. "My intelligence sources say they're not just trying to kill you anymore. They want Luna alive. They think she's the key to creating an army of super soldiers." Luna had been standing quietly behind Jake, but now she stepped forward. "What do you mean?" Zara looked uncomfortable. "The experiments they did on you before Jake rescued you? They changed you, made you stronger and smarter than normal werewolves. They want to study you to create more like you." "That will never happen," Jake said firmly. "I know you want to protect her," Zara said. "But this is bigger than one ship can handle. You need help." "What kind of help?" Arya asked. "I can offer you a military escort to a safe planet. Somewhere the Galactic Council can protect you." Luna shook her head. "Running away won't solve anything. They will keep coming until they get what they want." "So what do you suggest?" Jake asked. Luna looked at him with those wise yellow eyes. "We stop running and start hunting." "That's too dangerous," Arya protested. "Is it?" Luna asked. "They expect us to run and hide. They don't expect us to fight back." Over the next hour, Luna explained her plan. It was risky and required perfect timing, but it was also brilliant. Instead of waiting for the assassins to find them, they would choose the battleground. Luna had identified an asteroid mining facility that was mostly abandoned. It had lots of places to hide and set traps. "The Shadowkin are used to hunting in crowded places where they can blend in," Luna explained. "In an empty facility, their stealth advantage is reduced, and you can track them better in open spaces," Jake added, understanding her strategy. "Exactly. Plus, we can use the mining equipment to our advantage." Arya was impressed despite her concerns. "You're thinking like a military strategist." "Jake taught me that," Luna said proudly. "He showed me how humans win fights against stronger enemies. They use their brains instead of just their strength." The plan required help from Commander Vex and her military unit. Zara agreed to provide backup, but only if Luna could prove her strategy would work. "I can give you 5 of my best soldiers for a test run," Zara said. "If your plan works against them, I'll help you with the real thing." 3 days later, they were at the abandoned mining facility. Zara's soldiers were some of the best fighters in the galaxy. They had advanced weapons and training that took years to master. Luna gave them a 30-minute head start to hide anywhere in the facility. Then she went hunting. What happened next amazed everyone watching. Luna moved through the facility like she owned it. She used her enhanced senses to track the soldiers, but she also used strategy and planning. She didn't just find the hidden soldiers. She outmaneuvered them. She set traps using the mining equipment. She used the facility's communication system to confuse them. She even used psychological warfare, making sounds that put the soldiers on edge. In less than 2 hours, Luna had killed all 5 soldiers in simulated combat. "Incredible," Zara said over the radio. "I've never seen anything like it." "She learned from the best teacher in the galaxy," Arya said, looking at Jake with new respect. But Jake knew the truth. Luna had surpassed him. She was using skills he had taught her, but combining them with abilities no human could match. She was becoming something entirely new. A werewolf with human intelligence. A predator with a moral code. A killer who fought to protect instead of destroy. As they prepared for the real battle against the Void Serpent's assassins, Jake realized that Luna was no longer his student. She had become his teacher, and she was about to teach the galaxy's most dangerous criminals a lesson they would never forget. The final battle began at dawn on the mining facility. 20 Shadowkin assassins arrived in small, fast ships. They thought they were hunting one human captain and his crew. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Luna had spent the entire night preparing the facility. She had set traps using the mining equipment. She had rigged explosives in key locations. Most importantly, she had turned the entire complex into one giant hunting ground where her abilities gave her every advantage. Jake, Arya, and Maya were positioned at strategic points throughout the facility. Commander Zara and her soldiers were hidden in backup positions, but everyone knew this was really Luna's show. The Shadowkin leader was a veteran assassin named Vortex. He had killed hundreds of targets and never failed a mission. He was confident this would be just another easy job. "Spread out and find the human," Vortex ordered his team. "Kill anyone who gets in your way. But bring me the werewolf girl alive." What happened next would be talked about in military academies for years to come. The Shadowkin entered the facility, expecting to hunt frightened refugees. Instead, they walked into a carefully planned ambush designed by someone who understood their weaknesses better than they understood themselves. Luna had studied every recorded encounter with Shadowkin assassins. She knew how they moved, how they thought, and how they hunted. She used that knowledge against them. The first group of assassins entered through the main entrance. They activated their stealth technology and spread out to search the facility. They never saw the motion sensors Luna had hidden around the entrance. As soon as they were inside, blast doors sealed behind them. "Trap!" one of them hissed, but it was already too late. Luna's voice echoed through the facility's communication system. "Welcome to my home. You came here to hurt my family." That was a mistake. The assassins tried to use their stealth technology to hide, but Luna had prepared for that too. She had filled the air with a fine metallic dust that clung to their suits. Even when invisible, they left glittering trails that she could follow. The first assassin died when he stepped on a pressure plate that Luna had rigged to a mining laser. The second fell into a pit trap that had been hidden under a false floor. The third was taken down by Maya, who had learned to watch for the dust trails Luna had taught her about. But it was Luna herself who was the real terror in the facility. She moved through the complex like a ghost, appearing and disappearing at will. Her werewolf senses let her track multiple enemies at once, while her human intelligence helped her stay 3 steps ahead of their tactics. Vortex realized quickly that this was not a normal hunt. "Regroup at position 7, he ordered. Something is very wrong here. But regrouping was impossible. Luna had designed the facility to keep the assassins separated. Every time they tried to meet up, they found their path blocked or redirected. She was herding them like sheep, controlling their movement through the complex. Jake watched from his position with amazement and pride. Luna had become something incredible. She was using every skill he had taught her, combined with abilities that were purely her own. "She's magnificent," Arya said over their private communication channel. "She's my daughter," Jake replied, and meant it with every fiber of his being. The battle continued for hours. One by one, the Shadowkin assassins fell to Luna's traps and tactics. Some were killed by the facility's modified equipment. Others were taken down by Jake, Arya, and the rest of the team. But most were defeated by Luna herself. She had learned to fight in a way that combined human strategy with werewolf instincts. She could predict her enemies' moves and counter them before they even knew what they were going to do. Finally, only Vortex remained. The veteran assassin had watched his entire team get destroyed by a teenage girl. He was angry, desperate, and more dangerous than ever. "Enough games," Vortex snarled. "Come out and face me, little wolf." Luna appeared in the main chamber of the facility. She had partially shifted into her wolf form, with fangs and claws, but still mostly human. Her yellow eyes glowed in the dim light. "You came to my home to hurt my family," Luna said calmly. "Now you have to deal with me." Vortex laughed. "You're just a child. I've been killing for longer than you've been alive." "Maybe," Luna said, "but you've never fought someone like me." The fight between Luna and Vortex was brutal and fast. The assassin was skilled and experienced, but Luna had advantages he couldn't match. Her reflexes were superhuman, her senses could track him even when he was invisible, and her strategy was flawless. More importantly, Luna was fighting for something Vortex could never understand. She was fighting for her family. The battle ended when Luna caught Vortex's arm during one of his attacks. Her grip was strong enough to crush bone, but instead of killing him, she gave him a choice. "Leave," Luna said simply. "Tell the Void Serpents that I am done being hunted. From now on, I do the hunting. If they ever threaten my family again, I will come for them all." Vortex looked into Luna's eyes and saw something that terrified him. He saw a predator who had learned mercy, which somehow made her more dangerous than any killer he had ever met. The assassin fled, and Luna let him go. She wanted the Void Serpents to hear her message. In the aftermath of the battle, something amazing happened. Word of Luna's victory spread throughout the galaxy. Other species began to take notice of humans and werewolves in a new way. Commander Zara recommended Luna for military honors. She fought like a general and showed mercy like a saint, Zara reported to her superiors. The Galactic Council officially recognized werewolves as a sentient species with full rights. Luna became the first werewolf diplomat, working with Aria to prevent other trafficking operations. But the most important change was in Luna herself. She had found her purpose. She was no longer just Jake's adopted daughter. She was a protector of the innocent, a bridge between species, and a symbol of what was possible when different kinds of people became family. Jake and Aria finally admitted their feelings for each other. Their relationship was unusual. A human, ship captain and an ancient elf diplomat, but it worked because they had learned about love from watching Luna. She taught us that family isn't about biology, Aria explained to the Galactic Council when they questioned her decision to stay with humans. It's about choice. I choose them, and they choose me. The Starbound became more than just a cargo ship. It became a diplomatic vessel that carried a message of hope throughout the galaxy. The message was simple. Different species could work together, protect each other, and become family. Luna grew into a remarkable young woman who split her time between diplomacy and protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. She never forgot the lessons Jake had taught her about courage, compassion, and standing up for what was right. Jake often thought about that day in the alley on Kepler 7 when he first saw Luna in that cage. He had saved her life, but she had saved his soul. She had given him a family and a purpose that made every day worth living. Maya became the head of a new medical program that helped rescued trafficking victims. She used what she had learned from Luna's recovery to help other survivors heal. The Void Serpents never bothered them again. Word had spread through the criminal underworld about the werewolf girl who had defeated 20 Shadowkin assassins. Most criminals decided it was easier to find other targets. On quiet evenings, when the Starbound was traveling between stars, Jake would find Luna in the ship's observation lounge. She would be looking out at the vast galaxy, planning her next mission to help those in need. "Any regrets?" Jake asked her one evening. Luna smiled, her yellow eyes bright with happiness. "How can I regret the life that brought me to you?" Jake put his arm around his daughter, not by blood, but by choice, and watched the stars with her. Somewhere out there were people who needed help, and Luna would find them. She would protect them the way Jake had protected her, because that's what families do. They protect each other, no matter what the cost. And in a galaxy full of different species with different values, the simple human idea of chosen family had become the most powerful force for good anyone had ever seen. The werewolf girl who had once been a victim in a cage was now the galaxy's greatest protector. She had learned from the best teacher she could have asked for, a human who believed that love was stronger than biology, and that family was something you chose, not something you were born into, and every day she made that choice again.